Sorry.
While at that, Mr. We were told by the witnesses from Defence Force that the military added value in us acquiring the World Cup. What would be your comment on that in terms of our economy?
If we had a different constitution, I might plead the fifth. No, I couldn't really attest to that in any detail. I think that, as with Brazil now, all of the forces would be involved and assure a message of broad safety, as articulated, I think, in Section 199 of our Constitution, because it is a measure of our general success. And the Defence Force, along with the police, certainly played a role in that regard as well.
You may then proceed, I think, paragraph 47 on page 20 and other paragraphs.
So I'm saying, Commissioners, drawing from these two State of the Nation addresses by the Commander-in-Chief, Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela, the message was abundantly clear, and if one looks at the way in which executive authority vests, I think we had a very clear mandate about re-equipping, about affordability, and about sending a very strong message about the peace and security that we seek for our country. The Defence Review also drew attention to defence capability that was not commensurate with our constitutional responsibilities and obligations, and then made recommendations on what could be done to supplement and reinforce the Defence Force's capability. That then gave rise to the November 1998 decision of Cabinet to enter negotiations with preferred bidders, government to investing approximately 29.9 billion in the SDPP. The intention was that the Special Defence Account would carry the costs of the SDPP, but would, as I said earlier, be funded by the Fisc. The financial feasibility of this commitment by Cabinet was informed by various reports of task teams and structures whose duty was to advise in these matters. And I, as Minister of Finance, saw myself as a role player in interrogating these reports along with other members of the IMC. At a technical level, the force design, force levels, armaments and related capacity issues were and continue to be the preserve of the Defence Force. National Treasury, under my guidance, was one of the departments that had a constitutional mandate to ensure that any funding intended for the SDPP was affordable and budgeted for. And so that is the background to what I believe is the set of constitutional obligations and the unfolding political responsibilities is allocated to the executive within this context. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Now let's proceed then to paragraph 53. Then, when you then deal with your role as the Minister of Treasury, and we also see the measure of the Department of Finance and State Expenditure. If you can maybe explain that to the Commission.
Thank you very much. Paragraph 53 draws attention to the fact that we transited from the Exchequer Act, in terms of which many of the decisions were taken, into the Public Finance Management Act during the period. Now, the National Treasury is actually a complex organization because it has many different branches, and because these are headed in the main by economists, very many different views on these matters. But it's pertinent to recognize that it has a branch that deals with macroeconomics, it has a branch that deals with public finance, it has one that deals with intergovernmental relations, one that deals with asset and liabilities where loan agreements would be scrutinized. It has one that deals with tax policy, for instance. And so all of these actually interact to ensure that there is a cohesive and coherent view out of the National Treasury on a range of issues. And something as complex and as expensive as the SDPP would have been through that entire process. The ensuring that the affordability function and responsibilities arise from objectives of promoting fiscal prudence, the National Treasury arranged for a detailed affordability study to be undertaken, as explained to this Commission by Mr. Donaldson in his submission. The Treasury at that stage didn't have all of the requisite skills in-house, but there was the added advantage, Commissioners, of bringing in international players to raise the profile of the way in which government sought to evaluate these issues. The